Listen close. What went down at the 2026 Grammys wasn't a ceremony, it was a public execution. And J. Cole? His entire legacy just got incinerated on live television while he hid like a coward, too terrified to even witness his own career cremation. Kendrick Lamar didn't just win awards, he annihilated every record in existence with 27 total Grammys. 27! More than Jay-Z's entire legendary career, more than Beyoncé could dream of at that moment, more than any rapper who ever breathed. But here's the part that's got the entire internet in absolute chaos. While Kendrick was literally rewriting history, shattering records that seemed untouchable for generations, J. Cole was invisible, completely, pathetically, devastatingly erased from existence. And that silence, it's not just loud, it's deafening. It's screaming the truth that Cole's too broken to admit. Because the fall off, that album he's been desperately teasing like it's his salvation, just became the most tragic, self-destructive prophecy in music history. The irony isn't just perfect, it's poetic justice. Before we expose this catastrophic collapse, smash that like button and subscribe immediately, because what I'm about to reveal will have people rioting in the comments. The industry is terrified of these connections being made, so let's make this go nuclear and reach every soul who needs this truth. Here's the brutal truth I'm proving today. The 2026 Grammys didn't just crown Kendrick Lamar as rap royalty, it obliterated J. Cole's entire competitive existence and confirmed that the fall off isn't an album anymore, it's his obituary. And the most devastating part? Cole signed his own death certificate the second he whimpered that pathetic apology for daring to challenge Kendrick. The J. Cole defenders are already spiraling in rage over this video. They'll scream I'm fabricating drama, inventing narratives, that Cole is just choosing peace, or whatever fantasy they're clinging to this week. Cutting tone. But here's reality. Facts don't negotiate with delusion. If you genuinely care about witnessing the most seismic power shift in hip-hop history, if you want the raw truth that the industry is desperately censoring, you need to amplify this channel. Hit that subscribe button now, because the mainstream media is terrified to say what we're about to expose. The industry gatekeepers are in full panic mode trying to bury this. We're detonating all their secrets. Let's destroy their narrative. Let me paint this nightmare. This past year, we witnessed the most humiliating competitive disintegration in hip-hop's entire existence. It ignited with the Drake versus Kendrick war, except it wasn't a war, it was a televised slaughter. Kendrick unleashed Not Like Us, and that song didn't just win, it vaporized Drake's entire existence. Absorb this insanity for a moment. A diss track, a song engineered specifically to erase another human's career from reality. That song just captured 5 Grammys. 5! Including Song of the Year and Best Rap Performance. But this is where J. Cole stumbles into this nightmare. When this war was erupting, Cole dropped 7-Minute Drill, his supposed diss at Kendrick. Remember what happened next? Knowing tone. Cole collapsed. He literally prostrated himself on stage at Dreamville Fest and begged, quote, "I pray that I'm forgiven for that song." He deleted it from existence. He confessed he couldn't handle that heat. Some people tried painting this as wisdom, as Cole being evolved, but what the Grammys just confirmed is that Cole's apology wasn't enlightenment, it was total surrender. He witnessed Kendrick's capabilities, realized he was catastrophically outmatched, and he abandoned the battlefield. And the culture never forgives desertion. Let's dissect what actually detonated at these Grammys, because the numbers alone are soul-crushing. Kendrick entered with 8 nominations, he departed with 5 wins. But the real devastation? He now possesses 27 total Grammy wins across his career. That demolishes Jay-Z's legendary record. Let that penetrate your consciousness. Kendrick Lamar, at this point in his journey, has more Grammy wins than Jay-Z, the titan who's dominated since the 90s. But it transcends numbers. It's about what he conquered. Not Like Us, again, a diss track, won Song of the Year. That's a general field category. That means voters across every genre, people who don't even consume hip-hop, examined that song and declared, this is the pinnacle of music this year. heavy pause. The song where Kendrick brands Drake a colonizer, interrogates his authenticity, and systematically dismantles his entire public identity, that's what the music establishment chose to immortalize. Then there's GNX, the album Kendrick dropped with absolute zero promotion, no rollout, no interviews, nothing, just materialized on a random Friday like, here's greatness. That album got nominated, celebrated, and the strategy is revolutionary because Kendrick proved he doesn't need the traditional industry machinery. He doesn't play their rigged game. He creates pure art, and reality bends to him.
Now, this gets explosive. Harvey Mason Jr., the Recording Academy CEO, made some revealing statements about Grammy voting. He said, quote, "The voting is based on artistic quality, not sales, not streams, not social media followers." Hear that? Artistic quality. Translation? 70% of Grammy voters, current artists who joined within 5 years, examined Kendrick's work and declared this is art. They looked at everyone else and said, that's just noise. When you grasp that context, when you realize Kendrick's peers, fellow creators are choosing him, the message becomes nuclear. The people who actually make music believe Kendrick exists on a plane everyone else can't even perceive. But wait, because this is where the J. Cole situation transforms from tragic to apocalyptic. If this breakdown is destroying your perception of reality, subscribe and activate notifications immediately because we're about to connect dots that will shatter your understanding of hip-hop. While Kendrick was collecting these awards, while he was rewriting history on that stage, Cole was nowhere. Not in attendance, not on social media acknowledging him, not doing interviews. Absolute void. And in hip-hop culture, silence doesn't just speak, it screams confession. Let's examine The Fall Off. This album has been teased for years. Cole's been manufacturing anticipation, dropping cryptic hints, constructing this mythology that this will be his masterpiece. The title itself, The Fall Off, was supposed to chronicle other people's decline, about Cole observing the game transform while he remains untouchable. But here's the devastating reality. That title has become a curse because what we're witnessing in real time is J. Cole's fall off. Not commercially. I'm not discussing sales or streams. I'm talking about competitive extinction. I'm talking about his position in the culture evaporating. I'm talking about his inability to even be whispered in the same universe as Kendrick Lamar. Examine this timeline. Cole drops 7-minute drill, believes he's entering combat with Kendrick. Then he immediately apologizes and retreats. Then Kendrick proceeds to have the most dominant competitive campaign in modern hip-hop history, destroys Drake so completely that Drake's entire catalog is being forensically re-examined, drops an album with zero promotion that still dominates global conversation, and now wins 5 Grammys, including Song of the Year for a diss track. And Cole's location during this massacre? Silent, invisible. Working on The Fall Off, an album that regardless of its quality will eternally be overshadowed by the fact that Cole chose cowardice when history demanded courage. He saw the battlefield, witnessed Kendrick preparing for total war, and whispered, "Actually, never mind, I'm retreating." Some might argue maybe Cole is just mature. Maybe he didn't want negativity. And listen, I hear you, but let me ask this. If you're a competitive rapper, if you've constructed your entire career positioning yourself as elite, how do you just abandon the biggest battle of the generation? You don't, unless you know you'll be annihilated. Let's expose some of the most shocking moments from the Grammy ceremony, because revelations that night exposed just how much power Kendrick commands. Trevor Noah was hosting, professional comedian, veteran of award shows, master of reading rooms, and at one point he made a terrifying confession. He admitted, and the sentiment was crystal clear, that he was literally afraid to joke about Kendrick. Dramatic pause. A professional comedian, paralyzed by fear. Why would that be? Why would Trevor Noah, who's roasted presidents, who's built a career on fearless commentary, be terrified to joke about a rapper? Knowing tone. Because everyone in that building, Everyone watching globally had just witnessed what Kendrick did to Drake. They saw how completely Kendrick can obliterate someone. They saw how Not Like Us didn't just win a beef, it terminated a career trajectory. Drake went from global domination to someone whose every breath is now scrutinized. His authenticity, his writing credits, his personal life, his relationships with younger women, everything is under forensic examination because of what Kendrick exposed. And Trevor Noah, intelligent as he is, observed that destruction and concluded, yeah, I'm not touching Kendrick Lamar. Nervous laugh. But wait, because it wasn't just Trevor Noah. The entire ceremony was chaotic in ways that revealed how unprepared everyone was for Kendrick's domination. Legendary Cher, accidentally announced the wrong winner. That might seem like a simple error, but consider what that represents. The Grammys are supposed to be this polished, professional production. They've executed this for decades. But this year, with Kendrick shattering records and revolutionizing hip-hop's position in the industry, even legends like Cher were thrown into chaos. Then Nicki Minaj had a complete meltdown on social media with homophobic attacks. Donald Trump threatened lawsuits over broadcast content. The entire energy was unstable, chaotic, almost apocalyptic. And at the center of this storm was Kendrick, calm, collected, conquering. It was like everyone in the industry was experiencing a collective breakdown because they realized the power structure had violently shifted. Kendrick wasn't requesting permission anymore. He wasn't following their antiquated rules. He was creating new rules, and everyone else was desperately scrambling to understand where they fit in this new hierarchy. Walk with me, because I want to introduce a concept that explains everything we're witnessing with J. Cole. I call it the silence of the destroyed. In competitive hip-hop, there are only a few ways to respond when someone achieves something massive. You can congratulate them, demonstrate respect, acknowledge greatness despite rivalry. You can compete, release your own music, attempt to match or exceed their achievement, or you can critique, offer commentary, analysis, position yourself as someone with valuable perspective. But what you cannot do, what appears more devastating than any alternative, is be silent. Because silence in hip-hop culture means one of two things. Either you're so irrelevant that your opinion is worthless, or you're so defeated that you can't even summon the courage to engage. And which one applies to J. Cole right now? He can't congratulate Kendrick because that would remind everyone he fled from competing with him. He can't drop competing music because he already apologized for even attempting. He can't offer critique because he surrendered his position as someone who can evaluate elite-level competition. So what remains? Nothing. Silence. The silence of someone who knows they've been exposed. Let's excavate what's actually happening to J. Cole psychologically, because this is fascinating from a competitive standpoint. Cole constructed his entire career on a specific image: the thoughtful rapper, the conscious artist, the guy who doesn't need beef because he's above it. And for years, that worked. It gave him a lane. It gave him an identity. It allowed him to avoid direct competition while maintaining respect. But then Kendrick and Drake ignited their war, and Cole got dragged in. He couldn't remain neutral because the culture demanded he choose a side. So he dropped 7-minute drill, thinking he could test the waters, make a statement, then retreat. But what he didn't anticipate was that once you enter that arena, once you fire that shot, you can't apologize your way out. The culture doesn't function like that. Now he's trapped. He's in what I'm calling a psychological prison of his own construction. Every option he has makes him look worse. If he disses Kendrick now, he looks pathetic because he already apologized. It would be like, wait, I thought you wanted peace, now you want war, make it make sense. If he ignores Kendrick's Grammy domination, he looks bitter and weak because everyone knows he's watching, everyone knows he cares, and the silence just confirms he has nothing to say. If he tries competing commercially with the fall-off, he's facing an artist who just dropped GNX with 0 promotion and still dominated. Kendrick proved you don't need rollouts, marketing campaigns. If the music is transcendent, reality responds. Can Cole claim the same? And if he tries competing critically, he's confronting an artist who just won 27 Grammys, an artist whose peers, other musicians, other artists voted for him and declared this is the standard.
How do you compete with that when you've already confessed you didn't want to compete? But we haven't even reached the most devastating part yet. Dramatic pause. Because on February 9th, 2026, Kendrick Lamar is headlining Super Bowl LIXI. And you know what song he's performing, right? Not Like Us, the diss track that terminated Drake, the song that won 5 Grammys, the song that became a cultural phenomenon. Kendrick is going to perform that song before 120 million viewers worldwide. This isn't just a performance, this is a coronation. This is Kendrick taking his victory lap on the biggest stage in human existence. And Cole's location? Probably home, working on the fall-off, watching the man he refused to compete with cement his legacy before the entire planet. The irony is suffocating. Consider what this Super Bowl performance represents. It transcends Drake. It's about Kendrick proving he owns this era of hip-hop, that he's not just the best rapper, he's the best artist, that he can drop an album with zero promotion, win Grammy after Grammy, headline the Super Bowl, and make it all look effortless. And the fall-off? Regardless of release date, regardless of quality, it will eternally be remembered as the album that arrived after the fall already happened, after Cole apologized, after Kendrick dominated, after the power structure shifted and left Cole outside looking in. The reactions to this have been absolutely insane. Kendrick fans obviously celebrating like they just won the championship, and honestly, they did. This was complete validation of everything they've proclaimed for years about Kendrick existing on a different plane.
But the J. Cole fans are in complete shambles. You see them in comments desperately defending him, claiming Cole is just focused on his art, or real ones know Cole doesn't need to respond to everything. And listen, I understand. It's devastating to watch a favorite artist get exposed like this. But there's a third group, people fascinated by the competitive dynamics. These are folks analyzing every move, every decision, trying to comprehend how we arrived here. And they're realizing this isn't just about one Grammy ceremony. This is about years of decisions, years of positioning, all culminating. One comment that haunted me said, J. Cole is the cautionary tale of what happens when you enter a battle you're not prepared to finish. And honestly, that's precisely what this is. Cole thought he could play both sides, be the conscious rapper who stays above conflict, but also fire shots when convenient. But Kendrick showed him you can't have both. Either you're in the competition or you're not. And once you apologize for being in it, you've made your choice. I've been hearing explosive things from industry people, and the behind-the-scenes perspective is even more revealing. According to sources close to the situation, and interpret this however you want, there's been panic within Cole's camp about the fall-off release strategy. Because here's the problem. They know the album will be compared to everything Kendrick just accomplished. They know the narrative will be, can Cole compete with Kendrick? Even though Cole already confessed he doesn't want to compete. Some insiders are allegedly suggesting Cole should lean harder into the conscious rap lane, position himself as the alternative to competitive chaos. Others are saying he should address the Kendrick situation head-on in the music, not as a diss, but as an explanation. And honestly, both strategies sound like damage control, not confidence. There's also been discussion about how the fall-off was originally conceptualized versus what it's become. Allegedly, the album was supposed to be Cole reflecting on hip-hop's state, watching other artists decline while he remained consistent. But now it's impossible to hear that title without thinking about Cole's own fall from competitive relevance. The entire narrative has been hijacked by his apology and Kendrick's subsequent domination. Let's synthesize this catastrophe because we need absolute clarity about what just happened. The 2026 Grammys weren't just an award ceremony, they were a declaration. The Recording Academy, hip-hop culture, and the music industry globally just told us who the king is, and it's not debatable anymore. It's not subjective. Kendrick Lamar has 27 Grammys. He won Song of the Year for a diss track. He's headlining the Super Bowl. He shattered records that seemed untouchable for decades. And Cole is silent. Not because he's mature, not because he's above it all, but because he knows. He knows he exited the competition at the exact moment when it mattered most. He knows the fall-off, regardless of potential quality, will always be overshadowed by the fact that he fell off before it even dropped. The silence from J. Cole during Kendrick's Grammy massacre says everything the music never could. It says, I can't compete, I won't compete, and I'm praying everyone forgets I ever tried. So, yeah, that's all I got for today. This situation is messy, is complicated, and honestly is tragic to witness. Because J. Cole is talented, he's created great music, but in hip-hop, talent isn't enough. You need courage, you need conviction, and you need to stand on what you say. But what do you think about this? Do you think J. Cole can recover from this? Do you think the fall off can change the narrative? Or is this the moment where we officially recognize that Kendrick Lamar is operating on a level no one else can reach? Let me know in the comments. I read every comment and I want your perspective. If you made it this far, smash that like button and subscribe to the channel. We're going to keep exposing the real stories in hip-hop, the ones mainstream media won't touch. Next video, we're dissecting what Kendrick's Super Bowl performance might include and why it could be the most important hip-hop moment of the decade. You cannot miss that. Until next time, stay informed, stay critical, and remember, in hip-hop, the silence speaks louder than any diss track ever could.